Beyond&Under with Bogdana Onishchuk.
We are ready to start. So here is Bogdana Onishchuk, Beyond&Under, and we keep talking, we keep writing, we keep creating, which makes me really ecstatic. And today is episode number 5, or how I call it, chapter number 5. Because as we discussed in previous episodes, we are writing a book. We are writing a book, and we are the characters of this book, and of this very book that you're listening to right now. And I do believe that this is a book, and I do believe that every episode we are unveiling something, we are discovering something, and we are reading page after page, chapter after chapter, and it is just so enjoyable to develop that idea more and more. Yesterday, as I was preparing for this episode, I was thinking, I was brainstorming about what the chapter 5 going to be about, what the new episode going to be about, and I was thinking a little bit about concept and how it's developing so far, how it's going so far, and it's just mind-blowing because it is so good. It is so good. It's my personal point of view, and I really am proud that I find it good, because sometimes it's really hard to find something that you do, that you create, something that you try to make real. It's really hard to find it good and not be too critical about it, not be too hard on yourself, because usually this is what I am, and I'm sure not just me. I'm not the only one, right? And this is what we do. This is what we do. But then we remember, all right, but this is also something that I wanted, so it's not that bad, huh? It's not that bad for something that was just in my head to be realized, to be known, to be heard, to be created. It is huge, I think. So for the first time, I would say this is the idea that I am started with, and this is for the first time with this idea that I'm not too critical about myself, because it makes me ecstatic. It makes me really happy and glad that somehow it worked out. Somehow it worked out, and now we are on chapter 5. I'm surprised. We've come so far. We've come so far, and I think this is at least one thing to be proud of, that we come so far, and we are writing a book. And to me, this is of course the art. This is the art of writing, the art of storytelling, but also the art of being real. So, as always, I want to be real in my episodes. I want my listeners to be real about themselves and about them being the part of my book. And I really hope that each of you can find something reasonable here, something important here, or something fun here, something admirable here. It's really something that I find number one mission with this whole idea. Because if I am, that's my phone, by the way, if I am just doing this, and then I don't have this feedback, or I don't really hit the goal with what I want to make my listeners, my readers feel like, then it's a little bit, it's a bummer, but still I really appreciate those who are keep listening, and sometimes even when it feels like it's something wrong, or it's something not quite to my interest. So yeah, I really appreciate everyone who willingly is becoming a part of my book. Thank you so much. And I was brainstorming, as I already mentioned that yesterday as I was preparing for this episode. And the thing I was asking myself, that was that question, that very question that I was asking myself again and again. Listen, Bohdana, if you were interviewing yourself, what would you ask yourself? What would be the questions like when if you were interviewing yourself? What would you ask? What are your readers interested in? They are interested about you. Yeah, that's right. But also you shared a lot from your life. Maybe not a lot, just the tip of the iceberg, to be honest. But still, you know a little bit about me. But for some of you who are listening this show for the first time, I want to remind you who am I. My name is Beyond&Under. I am a writer, a tutor, and English tutor, and just somebody who has a lot of ideas and somebody who's passionate about them. And actually, it's not a lot of ideas, actually just a few, to be honest. If we're real, we're real. Then it's just few ideas, and I try to stay true to who I am and to my ideas and to my goals and to my definition of success, which we already talked about. And yeah, so this podcast show, because I'm downloaded as at the other sources, but also it's show about life, about relatable life. We're writing a book, we're characters of this book, but also about success, how I see success, how I managed to be here, how I got here, how I somehow happened to be in Germany, to be in Leipzig, how I happened to do radio, how I happened to have all these goals and ambitions. Why all this happened? It's a long story, but I already started opening this story, revealing this story, and I started a little bit from my childhood. Some fragments from my childhood, some fragments from my life. And yeah, so we talk about, it's a solo podcast, and we talk here about different stuff. We talk here about Ukrainian language as well. I try to make it clear and talk about stereotypes about Ukrainian or about Ukraine, and I raise awareness of other people about this beautiful country that I come from, about this country that is my motherland, and about this beautiful language, Ukrainian, which is my mother tongue. So I raise awareness about this as well as a part of my episodes. Sometimes I share something, sometimes I don't. So it's not a rule that every episode I have something, but I know you're very interested about my political point of view and about what I think about the war going on in Ukraine, and what I think about Ukrainians, about immigration, about language question. And as we are writing our book, right, I am revealing that, I am sharing that, I am opening that. And I do certainly have a lot of thoughts about this, a lot of feelings about this, about the war in Ukraine. And I have as well a lot of statements, a lot of clarities that are certainly certainly make sense for me. And I have a certain position. In all this political situation, but it's not just political situation, because it's involving more than just politics, and it's involving money and people, and other countries as well. So it's not just the question of Ukraine. It's not just the matter that is just happening in Ukraine, but it's also a very international, a very globalized question as well. So yeah, I will be sharing about that in the next episodes. And every time I feel that I'm trying to procrastinate the episode where I will be talking about my position, about what I think, about my thoughts, about all this feelings, and about real people, because I am one of this. I'm one of the real people, and I know how it's like. I know the real situation. I know the reality that the people are living in, and it's not just something that you hear over the news, or it's not just something that you hear from other people. I think you should also understand that I think you should also understand that there are people, and they have lost different things, different people, and it's not the same for everybody. I'm just getting carried away with this topic, and it's really emotionally difficult to talk about this, but also I'm trying to stay calm and to stay really conscious about this, sober about this. But today we will not talk about this. I am so sorry that I start talking about this and then you got really interested. What is the real situation from the real people? Well, this is a motivation for you to listen to my episode next time and for the whole show. Okay, and so I was asking myself yesterday, I was asking myself, what on earth would I ask myself if I was interviewing myself? This is quite a challenging question, because you never know, because it's me, and I can't imagine. Some people can. I can't now yet. I can't yet dissociate from myself so much that I am absolutely sober and absolutely cold about myself, that I can easily ask questions that I would ask other person, because I find them interesting, or I find them compelling. But now with myself, it's kind of hard for me to do that. So I was thinking about this question, and then I came up with some which I will try to answer today a little bit. So the story is being continued, and it's hard and emotional, but also quite clear and desire to utter the first word again and start one more episode again, one more chapter again. And I am putting right now a lot of effort to create a certain atmosphere in the studio, in the room I'm in right now. And this is not easy. Try to imagine that I am talking, I am speaking in front of my listeners. I don't know how many of you are listening, but just yes, my phone again. I guess I need to put it to silent mode. That's really challenging. That's really hard to imagine all of you here. And I am right now, I am just staring into space, being alone in this studio, in this morning studio, because it's 9:50 right now. And I don't see anybody, but imagination here is the key, right? I remember a funny story. When I was a kid, I was really, really very smart kid, and I could play with myself, and I didn't need a lot of stuff to play, or it was because I could do this pretty well in my head. It was my imagination, So whenever I wanted something, I wanted a certain toy, or I wanted something specific for my games, for my made up games, I would always think, okay, I can get it. I can have it. I can have this toy, or I can have this mechanism. So, okay, what do? I imagine. That's right. You imagine, so it's really kind of a toxic if you hear it from somebody else, but if you hear it from yourself, then it's not that toxic, because I can imagine if my mother told me, listen, just imagine, I'm not going to buy you that toy, but just imagine that you have it. Imagine as if you have it. That would be super toxic. Yeah. So hearing it from yourself is better than hearing it from somebody else. And I am imagining, and this is the case where my imagination is really handy. It's really helping me right now. And listen, I would tell you this. I'm really, really scared. I'm scared with every episode that I start, with every word that I utter. I'm scared to start this, to answer the questions. But then I understand that this is something that I should learn. This is something that I should learn to feel absolutely comfortable in company of myself. No, just kidding. In company of everybody who's listening to me right now, although I don't see you and I don't hear your feedback, or I don't hear your comments. Maybe that's for better, I think. So, and this is the thing that I should learn here. I always thought it's only the thing that I should learn for this it's not related to imagination. It's not related to being connected to your audience, to the characters of my book. I always thought it's not about this at all. I thought it's all about your diction. It's all about your voice. It's all about your tone, etc., etc. So, about your accent and this and that. So for a long time, I was preparing for that unconsciously, or sometimes unconsciously, sometimes consciously, but I was preparing for that. And exactly in this way, I would practice accent. I would practice my pronunciation. I would practice my diction. I would work on how I speak. I would work on how I pronounce. I would work on how my voice sounds. And this were the things I was working on. And I never considered the things of being connected or the things of imagining as something important for this. So I had this totally different imagination about that. But now I am here and I have a beautiful chance to learn, and I am doing this, and we're gonna start with the first question. So the first question that we're going to discuss today is, how do you stay grounded and connected to your roots and community living abroad? So how do I stay grounded? How do I stay connected to my roots, to my Ukrainian roots, to my community, to my country, to my people, to my hometown, to my university city? How do I stay connected to my culture, to my language, while I am living here in Germany for a year and 8 months? So this is really weird for me to say that, because I am the one who's here. I didn't go back. This is quite a question for me as well, because I really am a patriotic, and I was developing and understanding, realizing this national identity from a long time. A national identity is quite a serious question. I suppose quite a serious question for my nation. It is so serious that a lot, let's say 8 years ago, it was really terrible situation over there. It was a terrible situation regarding this national identity, regarding this national spirit, regarding the language. And this has to do with a lot of aspects, and it has to do with a lot of things. And I know you're expecting something specific, and I want to give you something specific. And I want to give you facts. I want to give you something specific, something logical and structural. But, sometimes it's not that easy. It's not that easy to get something into the heads of other people who are not concerned about it, to give something that you're very concerned about. That's something that is really essential for your living, for your existence. And this is all the questions around national identity, language, history are very important to me. And this is contradictory because I am trying to raise awareness here among other people who have certain stereotypes about Ukraine or Ukrainian, or simply don't know. I don't find that everybody should know every country's history. I don't think so. I think everybody should know his own history, and be aware about and respect and be aware about his history and language and roots and how it all happened, how this nation raised, how this nation happened to appear, how this nation came to existing. I'm not the person who thinking that you should know a history of every country, in detailed history of every country, and about the struggle of and challenges of every country. I don't think so. But I think as long as you know your own, as long as you respect your own, then you will be open to respect somebody else. Then you will be open to be careful. To be careful not to say something stupid about something. We have we have a critical thinking. And when we hear something like, it's a very common and it's a very oftenly used by me example, but if you hear something, but listen, Ukrainian and Russian are the same, aren't they? How can two languages be the same? They can be in one language family, but how can they be the same? There are a lot of, for example, Spanish and Italian. How can Spanish and Italian be the same? How on earth can they be the same? If they have some common things, because their origin is from one family, one language family, it doesn't mean that they are the same. Just analytically, you think how two languages can be the same. Then it's not two different languages, then it's one. So why on earth people are making that distinction between Ukrainian and Russian? Just thinking in this way, it's not something that requires you a research. I'm not asking that everybody should make a research about No, you shouldn't. But at least you should think. You should use your critical thinking, because when you know about your language and when you know about your history and you respect your language, and that, for example, for German speaking people, it's quite they can understand some Dutch. They can understand some Dutch. I could understand some Dutch when I was in the Netherlands, because I know some German, but it doesn't mean that they are the same. The fact that I can understand some words because they have the same origin or because they have a certain similarities doesn't mean that these are the same. This is just the example that I really, really try to get clear. And whenever I'm telling a little bit about history of Ukraine or how it all happened, actually it's not happened 2 years ago. The war didn't happen 2 years or even 8 years ago in 2014. No, it didn't. It happened much more earlier. And so whenever I'm telling something and a little bit some facts and some history background, then in the end, I always summarize with this one thing. Remember, Ukrainian and Russian are not the same languages because they are just Slavic languages, just as Polish, Slovak, Czech, and many others. So they are just in the same category, Slavic languages, and that's it. And all this concept about a Slovak, about this word, even this word, and a lot of people. Yeah, sure, you don't have to remember. I'm not asking right now that everybody should research, because I don't know a lot of facts about different countries. I don't know a lot about history of other countries. I don't, and that's the truth. But I do know about mine. Not fully. Listen, not fully. Gotta be humble in that things, not fully. But the thing that a lot of contribute this even word Slavic and have the association with Russia, but actually it's not. Actually, it was in a very different way. When there were different Slavic nations when Ukraine was formed, and when Russia was created, Russia was grounded much more later than Ukraine, then you understand that this is not Russia that contributed to Slovak world. It's not at all, And these are just, some very, very shallow facts or things that I'm telling you here. I feel that I'm not ready to talk about something deeper yet, or I'm not ready to talk about this and make you listen about this as well. So far, it's not because it's too something, not because of that, but because I'm not just emotionally, I'm not ready to talk seriously about stuff that concerns not just one individual, not just me, but the whole nation. So I feel like there should be more people discussing that. There should be for sure more people discussing that. And this is something in my plans. So hopefully quite soon, something like that will see the world and you will hear it. So how do I stay grounded and connected to my roots and community living abroad? Well, the first thing I should mention here is that for me, connection has to do with language, history, and doing something for your country. And right now, I am living abroad. It's not that I don't have a choice to go back. I do have a choice to go back and start everything from the beginning there, because everything that I had in Ukraine, I lost it. I lost my dreams. I lost my plans. I dropped out of university due to the issues with everything, and I lost everything. I had this great plans, this great and excellent hopes about how it's going to be, how I will move further, how I will advance in my study, in my career, in my ideas. And at one point I lost all of it. I never dreamed or I never wanted to move somewhere else. I always wanted to stay just there in Ukraine. I found it home. And I found it that I just think that everywhere you can find what you want. In every country you can make your dreams real. In every country you can you can reach the point of your career that you want. And then I moved to Germany, and this is something new, despite the fact that I feel really well integrated in the society, and I feel quite comfortable in the European society, in German society. That's true. That's all true. I just perfectly adaptable, and I perfectly adapted to everything here, and I didn't find it strange, or I didn't find it foreign to me. It was just as if I was born. If I was born for this. And this is another thing why I'm still here, is that I really found my hopes and dreams here, not forever. Now I know that you can't find it forever. Now I have a bitter experience, and that bitter experience is very precious. I find it very precious. And yes, I found it here. So as I said, for me, being connected to my community means the language and the history, but also the society. Right now, it's really hard for me to be grounded to my root, to my community, because was moving here. It was moving here in Germany, to Germany, and was dropping out of university. I understand that I lost the community that I was in, and not just lost. I kind of very suddenly became disconnected from that community, and I didn't see the way, and I probably didn't want to see the way how to be connected to community, to people. And by community, I mean people. I mean my environment, the environment that I was in. And it's really, really hard to say, but somehow that community replaced with the community here. But another meaning that I put into this community word, it's not just my environment, or it's not just people from my past that I used to communicate with, or I used to deal with, but also my community over different kind of social medias, or my community over internet. The community, that very national community, the very Ukrainian community that is raising awareness through social media. So I can stay connected to that community for sure, or I can also raise awareness through that mean. But another question is, how do I stay grounded and connected to my roots? And I'm not saying that I am completely focusing on that, but but from time to time, I remind myself about my roots, which are Ukrainian. So I remind myself, what are my roots? How my grandfather died, how my great grandfather died, how it all happened, the regions of Ukraine my family lived in, and I just think about it. I muse on it. I ponder about what the history was like of my family, of my, for example, family name. That's also very important. It also makes sense in researching from what region you come from, and also going back and considering how my great grandparents were, what did they do, how did they die, and how did they survive during Second World War? How was it that my grandfather was born just the year after the war, Second World War finished, 1940-45. So how was it growing up and then being under usurping hands and repressive hands of Soviet Union? How was it? I'm going back to all this. So that's how I remind myself about my roots. And that's how I remind myself, that's how you became. That's how, Bohdana, that's how you became, and that's how you happened. And now you're carrying in your blood all that. You're carrying in that Ukrainian blood all that, and just looking back, it all makes me really connected to my roots. And whenever I remind myself in this way, whenever I think about this in this way, then of course I want to go to all these places. I want to go to all these places, to all these small villages, to all these regions, and I just want to be there. I just want to be there, breathe that air, walk that roads. And that is the way I stay grounded and connected to my roots. And I find it that history and languages are very important for me. So another way how I stay connected and grounded to my roots and community is that I speak Ukrainian at home. I speak Ukrainian here at my home. I have a home and I can speak Ukrainian with the person I live with. And she's Ukrainian, so no worries. It's like I'm speaking with somebody random Ukrainian who can't speak Ukrainian. No worries about that. And yes, so this is creating a really something special when I got home. I really appreciate being the part of this community, the German community, the Leipzig community. But also I really appreciate coming back home, going home and just saying "Я вдома," just saying "Привіт," just saying all these Ukrainian words. Hi, I'm home. What are you doing? How was your day? Just asking, and just all this in Ukraine, just being one aspect of myself, being one part of myself, because I can't say that whenever I'm speaking English or German, I'm not myself. I am myself, but it's another aspects of me. It's another sides of me. So maybe I tend to like the Ukrainian side of me the most. Maybe, I'm not sure, but sometimes I have that feeling. So it's assumption, but it might be true. So that's how I do this. And okay, so to summarize the answer to this question, how do I stay grounded and connected to my roots and community living abroad? I stay connected through history and through language. Through history, because I remind myself what are my roots, what is the history of my family name, what is the history of my great grandparents, of my grandparents, and of the regions of Ukraine that I come from. And Ukrainians through speaking Ukrainian at home here in Leipzig, at my home, yeah. I have another question, and after that, we'll listen to the song. So, yay. So the question is, has it been easy approaching, collaborating, or working with people with different perspectives of values than your own? How have you managed that? Well. That's a little bit shifting in the topic. So the first question was more about my identity and more about my background, and how am I combining living here but being somebody with different background. But this question is targeting a little bit how good a team worker am I? How good can I manage to work with people with different perspective or values? I think that collaborating or working with people with different perspectives and values are not easy. Of course, it's not. It's really easy to work with like-minded people, which we should do sometimes, but not all the time, because we get too comfortable, and then we can't manage other people. We can't handle other people. I think that we all are very different. We all are so individual, and we are individuals, and we have different perspectives and values. And everybody is entitled to his or her own perspectives and values, no matter how weird or no matter how progressive or no matter how something they are. We all are entitled. We have the rights for that. And I think it all really depends on how much all these perspectives and values are involved. I'm pretty sure that you know what it's like just to work in a certain field, in a certain direction, without really discussing or without really being able to see much of perspectives or values. There are some perspectives and values that are really seeable, that are really perceptible easily, but there are some perspectives or values that are not just lying there on the surface. They are going deeper. They are somewhere there that you can't really see, and you can't really find that easily. In order to find them or to sense them, you gotta dig deeper. You gotta go deeper, and you gotta really have this certain conversation about that, or certain kind of work about that. So usually when I work with other people or I collaborate with other people, it's not that much about perspectives or values. And most of the times I know some of their perspectives and some of their values, and I know that they are not like mine. So I know that this person is not me, and that's cool. I would not like to work with myself. I would not like to date with myself. I would not like to collaborate with myself. So I'm really happy that other people don't really have the same perspective and values that I do. But it's very important that some of the perspectives and values are the same for the good work and for the good collaboration or for the good teamwork. It's really important. And first, if we're talking about work, then we're talking about perspective on work. And I find it really important that in that case, in that very aspect, we have similar, not the same, similar perspective on how our work going to be held on. So it's not something personal, but it's something that has to do with work. And as long as this perspective is similar, I'm not saying the same. It's very important here. I'm not saying the same. You don't have to have the same perspectives. The same perspectives it's more for me, the same perspectives and values on life. It's more with your partner. For me, when I'm choosing a partner for myself, then I'm choosing a lifelong partner. Then I'm choosing somebody who has the same values and main values and perspectives on life that I do. Because if we don't see the same goal in life, then what we are doing together, or if we don't have the same perspective of how our household is, or how, something really stones of values and perspectives. Maybe household, it's too small. It's still, you can find compromises. You can compromise on a lot of things, but maybe something bigger than that. What is the life goal? What is the view on the family, the view on the finances, and this and that, this perspective and values? What are the values in the person? And if we are not one accord about that, then what we are talking about, what are we doing together, So then, of course, I have questioned, what are we doing here? So I think in the case of working together, the question says, approaching, collaborating, or working with people with different perspectives or values. I think here I can handle that as long as our perspective on work or on the result is similar. Not the same, similar. Or as long as our values of our outcome are similar. As long as we want the same thing to appear after our work. If we both want to create a unique content, a unique product, then this is quite a good perspective to work together with, because I have that perspective. Of course, everybody has that perspective, and that's really easy because everybody has, whenever you're working or collaborating, everybody has that perspective or that value of quality high content, for example, or of a good visual effects. You have to be also flexible about that, because I think it's really cool, as I already mentioned, that we are different with different perspectives and values. Because, for example, we're working on something and somebody appreciates one aspect of the result and other person appreciate, and me, for example, I value another aspect of the result. It means that we both gonna put effort to make sure that aspect that we value would be delivered well. So I think this is really, really complementing each other. So I find it really nice and beautiful to work with people who have different, similar perspectives or values. As long as the values on work and results are involved, as long as personal values and other things are involved, then there question how long I will work with that person. So that's how good I can handle that. If I understand that we can work together well, and we deliver great results, and we create great product, then of course I would keep working with that. But whenever we touch the question of personal values or perspectives, I don't say that I'm the person who's like more never talk about personal, never talk about my family. I will never tell you anything that is going on in my life. I'm not that kind of person. I can share something, not in excessive way, but I can share something. I can ask. I am interested in other people, in other people as well. So I can ask something more or less personal, but if we have like something... So yeah, that's it. I'm not talking that if you're touching this personal values and perspectives, it makes you really hard afterwards to work with a person. But because this question is targeting me, so I can handle that. I can ignore the fact that the personal perspectives and values of that person that I'm working well with are very different, or maybe extreme, or maybe I can understand them. I find it really exotic. Then I can easily ignore that. It's not the problem. So that's how well I can handle that. That's hopefully you got the main point. And the main point is, as long as you have similar perspectives or values on how the outcome going to be, then it's totally fine. It's great. And another point here is that it shouldn't be the same perspective or values, because then it becomes a beautiful complement of each other and creating something that would be impossible when you're working alone. And now we are listening to the song. And this is after the song, you're not going to hear me anymore. In other words, we are finishing here. And before we finish, I want to say that you can, of course, contact me, write me an email with your questions or with something that you think. And please contact me, write your feedback, whatever you feel like writing. And the email is Beyond&Under at gmail.com. So beyond and under at gmail.com, BEYONDANDUNTER at gmail.com. I was happy to write one more chapter of our book. I was happy that you were here and you were creating that book together with me. Hear you in the next episode.
Встигла я. Зоря на небі вже зійшла, вона тепер з твоїм ім'ям. А пам'ятаєш серпень на дворі, наші вечірки, так обожнював пляж. Рве душу Джексон у старій магнітолі. Ти завжди тримав слово, ти був захист наш. Я не забуду, я не забуду. Навколо мій брат, тебе любила море, так підкорялись гори. Наші розмови назавжди залишаться в спогадах. Небесна варта тепер під твоїм крилом. Пишу тобі, брате, але мені нестерпно гірко й боляче. Залишишся в серці ти світлом. Я не забуду, я не забуду. Я пишу лист, коштує він зусилля. Пишу через сльози, у відповідь тишу.
як і ти. Бо ти зайшла сюди, і більше ти не чула кохання зло, та ти добро не бачила.
Козацькому роду нема переводу, зробив добро, кидай його воду. Гейна, гейна, гейна. Козацькому роду нема переводу, зробив добро, кидай його воду. Гейна, гейна, гейна. Шукав долю, де твій кінь, де твій дім, зеро махай, що молодий, зеро махай, що по полю, зеро махай, шукав долю, де твій кінь, де твій дім, зеро махай, що молодий. Козаки задали ритмі в дупу, слали ворогам, закатали губку. Зима заметено, не берем шубу, баримо на рідні річці ми у-у. В голові день, день, морі корабель, даремно на південь. Козаки на палубі, на полі буде бен-бен, ми сує берем, брат. Бачимо ми тири, ці по чотири, наші залами мундири, тепер кубири. Сірома ходили мене, коли парим не відтемінь, а надія поламана, сірома кабети. Його щастя, його доля, широке лото, чисте поле, його мрії, його мова, вичистиє води за рідного крова. Притримай бока.